IELTS Reading Out Loud, Day 15. Passage 1. The Importance of Children's Play. Brick by brick, 6-year-old Alice is building a magical kingdom, imagining fairy tale turrets and fire-breathing dragons, wicked witches and gallant heroes. She's creating an enchanting world. Although she isn't aware of it, this fantasy is helping her take her first steps towards her capacity for creativity, and so it will have important repercussions in her adult life. Minutes later, Alice has abandoned the kingdom in favor of playing schools with her younger brother. When she bosses him around as his teacher, she's practicing how to regulate her emotion through pretense. Later on, when they tire of this and settle down with a board game, she's learning about the need to follow rules and take turns with a partner. Play in all its rich variety is one of the highest achievements of the human species, says Dr. David Whitebread from the Faculty of Education at the University of Cambridge, UK. It underpins how we developed as intellectual, problem-solving adults and is crucial to our success as highly adaptable species. Recognizing the importance of play is not new. Over 2 millennia ago, the Greek philosopher Plato extolled its virtues as a means of developing skills for adult life, and ideas about play-based learning have been developing since the 19th century. But we live in changing times, and Whitebread is mindful of a worldwide decline in play, pointing out that over half the people in the world now live in cities. The opportunities for free play, which I experience almost every day of my childhood, are becoming increasingly scarce, he says. Outdoor play is curtailed by perceptions of risk to do with traffic, as well as parents' increased wish to protect their children from being the victims of crime, and by the emphasis on earlier is better, which is leading to greater competition in academic learning and schools. International bodies like the United Nations and the European Union have begun to develop policies concerned with children's right to play and to consider implications for leisure facilities and educational programs. But what they often lack is the evidence to base policies on. The type of play we are interested in is child-initiated, spontaneous, and unpredictable. But as soon as you ask a 5-year-old to play, then you as the researcher have intervened, explains Dr. Sarah Barker. And we want to know what the long-term impact of play is a real challenge. Dr. Jenny Gibson agrees, pointing out that although some of the steps in the puzzle of how and why play is important have been looked at, there is very little data on the impact it has on the child's later life. Now, thanks to the university's new Center for Research on Play in Education, Development and Learning, PEDA, Whitebread, Baker, Gibson, and a team of researchers hope to provide evidence on the role played by play in how a child develops. A strong possibility is that play supports the early development of children's self-control, explains Baker. This is our ability to develop awareness of our own thinking progress. It influences how effectively we go about undertaking challenging activities. In a study carried out by Baker with toddlers and young preschoolers, She found that children with great self-control solved problems more quickly when exploring an unfamiliar setup requiring scientific reasoning. This sort of evidence makes us think um, that giving children the chance to play will make them more successful problem solvers in the long run. If playful experiences do facilitate this aspect of development, says the researchers, it could be extremely significant for educational practices because the ability to self-regulate has been shown to be a key predictor of academic performance. Gibson adds, playful behavior is also an important indicator of healthy social and emotional development. In my previous research, I investigated how observing children at play can give us important clues about their well-being and can even be useful in the diagnosis of neurodevelopmental disorders like autism. Whitebread's recent research has involved developing a play-based approach to supporting children's writing. Many primary school children find writing difficult, but we showed in a previous study that a playful stimulus was far more effective than an instructional one. Children wrote longer and better structured stories when they first played with dolls representing characters in the story. In the latest study, children first created their story with Lego, with similar results. Many teachers commented that they had always previously had children saying they didn't know what to write about. With the Lego building, however, not a single child said this through the whole year of the project. Whitebread, who directs PEDAL, trained as a primary school teacher in the early 1970s when, as he describes, the teaching of how children was largely a quiet backwater, untroubled by any serious intellectual debate or controversy. Now the landscape is very different, with hotly debated topics such as school starting age. Somehow, the importance of play has been lost in recent decades. It's regarded as something trivial or as something negative that contrasts with work. Let's not lose sight of its benefits and the fundamental contributions it makes to humans' achievements in the arts, science, and technology. Let's make sure children have a rich diet of play experiences. Part 2. The growth of bike sharing schemes around the world. How Dutch engineer Lud Schimmelpenninck helped to devise urban bike sharing schemes. The original ideas for an urban bike sharing scheme date back to a summer's day in Amsterdam in 1965. Provo, the organization that came up with the idea, was a group of Dutch activists who wanted to change society. They believed the scheme, which was known as the Whittle Fiesta Plan, was an answer to the perceived threat of air pollution and consumerism. In the center of Amsterdam, they painted a small number of used bikes white. They also distributed leaflets describing the dangers of cars and inviting people to use the white bikes. The bikes were then left unlocked at various locations around the city to be used by anyone in need of transport. Lutz Schimmelpenninck, a Dutch industrial engineer who still lives and cycles in Amsterdam, was heavily involved in the original scheme. He recalls how the scheme succeeded in attracting a great deal of attention, particularly when it came to publicizing Provo's aims, but struggled to get off the ground. The police were opposed to proposed initiatives, and almost as soon as the white bikes were distributed around the city, they removed them. However, for Schimmelpenninck and for bike sharing schemes in general, this was just the beginning. The first Whitfield plan was just a symbolic thing, he says. We painted a few bikes white, that was all. Things got more serious when I became a member of the Amsterdam City Council 2 years later. Schimmelpenninck seized this opportunity to present a more elaborate Whitfield plan to the city council. My idea was that the municipality of Amsterdam would distribute 10,000 white bikes over the city for anyone to use, he explains. I made serious calculations. It turned out that a white bicycle per person per kilometer would cost the municipality only 10% of what it contributes to public transport per person per kilometer. Nevertheless, the council unanimously rejected the plan. They said that the bicycle belongs to the past. They saw a glorious future for the car, says Schimmelpenninck, but he was not the least discouraged. Schimmelpenninck never stopped believing in bike sharing, and in the mid-90s, two Danes asked for his help to set up a system in Copenhagen. The result was the world's first large-scale bike share program. It worked on a deposit. You dropped a coin in the bike, and when you returned it, you got your money back. After setting up the Danish system, Schimmelpenninck decided to try his luck again at the Netherlands, and this time he succeeded in arousing the interest of the Dutch Ministry of Transport. Times has changed, he recalls. People had become more environmentally conscious, and the Danish experiment had proved that bike sharing was a real possibility. A new Whitfield plan was launched in 1999 in Amsterdam. However, riding a white bike was no longer free. It cost 1 guilder per trip, and payment was made with a chip card developed by the Dutch bank Postbank. Schimmelpenninck designed conscious, sturdy white bikes locked in special racks which could be opened with the chip card. The plan started with 250 bikes, distributed over 5 stations. Theo Molenaar, who was a system designer for the project, worked alongside Schimmelpenninck. I remember when we were testing the bike racks, he announced that he had already designed better ones, but of course we had to go through with the ones we had. The system, however, was prone to vandalism and theft. After every weekend, there would always be a couple bikes missing. Molenaar says, I really have no idea what people did with them because they could not instantly be recognized as white bikes. But the biggest blow came when Postbank decided to abolish the chip card because it wasn't profitable. That chip card was pivotal to the system. Molenaar says. To contribute the project, we would have needed to set up another system, but the business partner had lost interest. Schimmelpenninck was disappointed, but characteristically, not for long. In 2002, he got a call from the French advertising corporation J.C. Decaux, who wanted to set up his bike-sharing scheme in Vienna. That went really well. After Vienna, they set up a system in Lyon. Then in 2007, Paris followed. That was a decisive moment for the history of bike sharing. The huge and unexpected success of the Parisian bike sharing program, which now boasts more than 20,000 bicycles, inspired cities all around the world to set up their own schemes, all models on Schimmelpenninck's. It's wonderful that this happened, he says, but financially, I didn't really benefit from it because I never filed for a patent. In Amsterdam today, 38% of all trips are made by bike, along with Copenhagen. Copenhagen. Yeah. It is regarded as one of the two most cycle-friendly capitals in the world, but the city never got another Whitfield plan. Molenaar believes that this may be because everybody in Amsterdam already has a bike. Schimmelpenninck, however, cannot see that this changes Amsterdam's need for bike sharing scheme. People who travel on the underground don't carry their bikes around, but often they need additional transport to reach their final destination. Although he thinks it is strange that a city like Amsterdam does not have a successful bike sharing scheme, he is optimistic about the future. In the 60s, we didn't stand a chance because people were regarded to give their lives to keep cars in the city. But that mentality has totally changed. Everybody longs for cities that are not dominated by cars. Part 3. Motivational factors and the hospitality industry. A critical ingredient in the success of hotels is developing and maintaining superior performance from their employees. How is that accomplished? What human resources management (HRM) practices should organizations invest in to acquire and retain great employees? Some hotels aim to provide superior working conditions for their employees. The idea originated from workplaces, usually in the non-service sector, that emphasized fun and enjoyment as part of work-life balance. By contrast, the service sector, and more specifically hotels, has traditionally not extended these practices to address basic employee needs such as working condition. Pearfield, 1994, emphasizes that in order to succeed in a global business environment, organizations must make investment in human resource management (HRM) to allow them to acquire employees who possess better skills and capabilities than their competitors. This investment will be to their competitive advantage. Despite this recognition of the importance of employee development, the hospitality industry has historically been dominated by underdeveloped HR practices. Lucas, 2002. Lucas also points out that the substance of HRM practices does not appear to be designed to foster constructive relations with employees or to represent a managerial approach that enables developing and drawing out the full potential of pupil. Even though employees may be broadly satisfied with many aspects of their work, Lucas, 2002. In addition, or maybe as results, high employee turnover has been a recurring problem throughout the hospitality industry. Among the many cited reasons are low compensation, inadequate benefits, poor working conditions, and compromised employee morals and attitudes. Marodas et al. Marodas, 2008. And NG and Sorensen, 2008, demonstrated that when managers provide recognition to employees, motivate employees to work together, and remove obstacles preventing effective performance, employees may feel more obligated to stay with the company. This was succinctly summarized by Michel, 2013. Providing support to support to employees gives them the confidence to perform their jobs better and the motivation to stay with the organization. Hospitality organizations can therefore enhance employee motivation and retention through the development and improvement of their working conditions. These conditions are inherently linked to the working environment. While it seems likely that employees' reaction to their job characteristics could be affected by a predisposition to their work environment negatively, no evidence exists to support this hypothesis. Specter, 2000. However, given the opportunity, many people will find something to complain about in relation to their workplace. There is a strong link between the perceptions of employees and particular factors of their work environment that are separate from the work itself, including company policies, salary, and vacations. Such conditions are particularly troubling for the luxury hotel market, where high-quality service require a sophisticated approach to HRM, is recognized as a critical source of competitive advantage. Marauders, 2008. In a real sense, the service of hotel employees represent their industry. Sindier and Bowen, 1993. This representation has commonly been limited to guest experiences. This suggests that there has been a dichotomy. Oh my god, I don't know how to read this word. This suggests that there has been a dichotomy between the guest environment provided in luxury hotels and the working conditions of their employees. It is therefore essential for hotel management to develop HRM practices that enable them to inspire and retain competent employees. This requires an understanding of what motivates employees at different levels of management and different stages of their careers. And Shiwak, 2000. This implies that it is beneficial for hotel managers to understand what practices are most favorable to increase employees' satisfaction and retention. Herzberg, 1966, proposed that people have two major types of need. The first being extrinsic motivation factors relating to the context in which work is performed, rather than the work itself. These include working conditions and job security. When these factors are unfavorable, job dissatisfactory may result. Significantly, though, just fulfilling these needs does not result in satisfaction, but only in the reduction of dissatisfaction. Employees also have intrinsic motivation needs or motivations, which include factors as achievement and recognition. Unlike extrinsic factors, motivator factors may ideally result in job satisfaction. Marodas, 2008. Heisberg. Oh my god. Heisberg's theory discussed the need for a balance of these two types of need. The impact of fun as a motivating factor at work has also been explored. For example, Hughes, Michelle, and Stanford, 2013, conducted a study focusing on staff on a chain of themed restaurants in the United States. It was found that fun activities had a favorable impact on performance, and manager support for fun had a favorable impact in reducing turnover. Their findings support the view that fun may indeed have a beneficial effect, but the framing of that fun of that fund must be carefully aligned with both organization goals and employee characteristics. Managers must learn how to achieve the delicate balance of allowing employees the freedom to enjoy themselves at work while simultaneously high levels of performance. Um, Theory 2008 has recommended several actions that can be adopted at the organization level to retain good staff as well as assist in balancing work and family life. Those particularly appropriate to the hospitality industry include allowing adequate breaks during the working day, staff functions that involve families, and providing health and well-being opportunities. Jeez.